A Chicago skyline emerges through fog and darkness. High-rise buildings pierce the night. Thunder rumbles distantly. A clock ticks. What happens when love becomes a cage? When a promising career, a bright future, and a beautiful life can be stolen in a single moment of violence? October 27, 2024. A luxury high-rise in Chicago's South Loop. What was found there that evening would shock a nation. But the real horror, the real tragedy, began months before, hidden behind closed doors, buried beneath lies, manipulation, and deliberate cruelty. This is the dark truth. And this is the story of Caitlin Tracey and Adam Beckerink. A story of ambition, deception, and a woman whose cries for help were drowned out by a system that failed her. A system that came too late. To understand the tragedy of Caitlin Tracey's death, we must first understand her life. At 36 years old, Caitlin Tracey was a technology professional of considerable accomplishment. She held a degree in computer information systems from Ball State University and had built a successful career in the tech industry. She worked as a senior associate and technology analyst at Infosys. To colleagues and friends, Caitlin appeared to have it all. She was intelligent, driven, and capable of managing complex organizational challenges. She was the kind of woman who seemed to know exactly where she was going. But in late 2023, something began to shift in her life. Something dark, deliberate, and meticulously hidden. That's when Caitlin Tracey met Adam Beckerink. Adam Beckerink was 47 years old and held a prominent position as a tax partner at Duane Morris LLP, one of the largest law firms in the United States. But beneath that polished exterior lurked something far more sinister. By November 2023, less than a year after meeting Caitlin Tracey made a decision that would change everything. She filed for an emergency protective order against her partner. In that protective order petition, Caitlin detailed a disturbing pattern of violence. She alleged that Beckerink had repeatedly subjected her to brutal physical assaults. She described being slapped, punched, and choked, acts of intimate violence that left marks on her body and scars on her psyche. But here's where the story takes a devastating turn. After filing that protective order, Caitlin revoked it. Why? Her family later alleged that Beckerink had manipulated and coerced her into dropping the order, convincing her that she was overreacting, that his behavior was her fault, that reconciliation was possible. On April 8, 2024, just months after revoking her protective order, Caitlin married Adam Beckerink in a private ceremony. Her family was not invited. No friends witnessed the event. 6 months into their marriage, on January 13, 2024, Caitlin made a desperate 911 call from New Buffalo, Michigan, where the couple was staying. The 911 call resulted in a police response to the residence. Officers found evidence of the abuse. Caitlin's account was documented. October 2024, 9 months after that January call for help. 9 months after the system had documented her abuse, but failed to remove her from danger. The couple was living in Chicago now, in a luxury high-rise in the South Loop, where Beckerink had a condominium on the 24th floor. It was the kind of building that represents success, wealth, and the promise of a better life. But inside those walls, in those private rooms, a nightmare was reaching its crescendo. On October 25, 2024, Adam Beckerink walked into a Chicago police station and reported that his wife was missing. He claimed he hadn't seen her in weeks. It was a calculated move, the perfect performance of a concerned husband reporting his missing wife. But the truth was far more sinister. Police would later allege that Caitlin Tracey hadn't been missing at all. That same day, October 25, 2024, according to a felony complaint filed by Chicago police, Adam Beckerink threw his wife over the railing of the 24th floor stairwell in his building. Her body was pulverized. The devastating impact of falling 24 floors had shattered her remains. One of her feet had been severed from her body, lying separately among the wreckage. The medical examiner would later rule her cause of death as multiple injuries, fall from height. But this was no accident. This was no suicide. This was murder. Adam Beckerink wasn't immediately charged with Caitlin's murder. Investigations take time. Evidence must be gathered. But in the immediate aftermath of her death, Beckerink was released after 48 hours of questioning. For nearly a year, an entire year, Caitlin's death remained officially undetermined, officially unsolved. While Beckerink walked free, living his life, the woman he allegedly murdered was being stored in a medical examiner's facility, waiting for justice that seemed too distant to grasp.
No! Julie, hold on!
Can you not put me in the car, please? Can we just talk? Can we just talk, please?
Please, can we just talk before you put me in the car? Can we just talk right here? Just talk right here. How do you... Wait, hold on. Keep walking. Hold on, seriously, hold on. What the you don't...
Keep walking.
So angry. Wait. What the f*** are you talking about? What the f*** are you talking about? Wait, before you... Wait, before you... Wait! Get out of the car. Seriously!
On October 27, 2025, an arrest warrant was issued for Adam Beckerink on a charge of first-degree murder. According to the complaint, he threw Caitlin Tracey over the railing of the 24th floor stairwell in his building on October 25, 2024. 1 year. It took an entire year for a murder charge to be formally filed. Before the murder charge, Beckerink faced consequences for his domestic violence crimes in Michigan. In August 2024, he pleaded no contest to domestic violence and contempt of court charges related to the January 2024 incidents at Caitlin's residence in New Buffalo. When the murder charge was filed in October 2025, Beckerink was incarcerated at Berrien County Jail in Michigan, serving out the end of his 93-day sentence for domestic violence. The man accused of murdering his wife was behind bars on a relatively minor charge, waiting for extradition on a major one. As this case moves through the legal system, critical questions remain. Why did the protective order that Caitlin filed in November 2023 get revoked without intervention? Why didn't authorities investigate whether she was being coerced? Why, after she made the 911 calls in January 2024 reporting abuse and theft, wasn't a more aggressive investigation launched into Beckerink's conduct? Why did it take a year, an entire year, for the murder charge to be filed? Was evidence still being gathered? Or did the system move slower than justice demanded? How many warning signs were documented, filed, and then seemingly forgotten? These aren't rhetorical questions. These are the questions that must be asked by anyone who cares about the protection of domestic violence victims. Caitlin Tracey did everything she was supposed to do. She called 911. She filed protective orders. She involved law enforcement. And despite all of that, she still ended up dead in a stairwell. Caitlin Tracey's death is not an isolated incident. It represents a systemic failure in how we protect people from intimate partner violence. According to data, an average of over 4,000 women are murdered by intimate partners every year in the United States. That's more than 10 women every single day. Many of those women had called for help. Many had filed reports. Many had involved authorities. And still, too many were killed. Before she was a victim, before she was a headline, Caitlin Tracey was a person. She was a daughter. She was a professional woman carving out a successful career in a competitive industry. She had dreams. She had accomplishments. She had a future. The case of Caitlin Tracey and Adam Beckerink is ongoing. As of today, Beckerink has been charged with first-degree murder, and the legal process continues. But the outcome of any trial cannot bring Caitlin back. No verdict can restore what was taken. What we can do is ensure her story matters. We can demand better from our systems of justice. We can refuse to look away when someone reaches out for help. We can believe survivors. To the Tracey family, your daughter's death will not be forgotten. Your fight for justice continues to matter. To our viewers, thank you for watching, for caring, for refusing to let Caitlin's story fade into the background of true crime statistics. Please subscribe to The Dark Truth for more stories that demand to be told. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below. What do you think needs to change in how we protect domestic violence victims?